coaches. All right, so today we're going to be talking through how to track client payments, client sessions used, sessions remaining, things like that automatically. We're going to be using Zapier, we're going to be using Airtable, we're going to be connecting to Stripe, and we're also going to be connecting to cal.com, which is my scheduler of choice. But you can also do this if you're using Calendly and Acuity. All right, so let's dive in. Okay, so the first thing that we see here is my Airtable base, and I've just created something very, very simple. It's one base, one table called contacts, and we need, well, we have email addresses, first name, status. You can add first name, last name, things like that. I'm just going to keep this simple since we're mostly focusing on payments and sessions. And so if we're focusing on payments and sessions, some folks add them right here in this table, but I want to teach you about proper database structure because when you have your Airtable base structured the right way, it enables you to pull richer insights from that data. It enables you to create, some of the charts you might want to be seeing. So it's really important that we learn how to set this up and we take the different kinds of things, right? Clients, payments, sessions, things like that, and they're on their separate tables. And so that's what we'll do here. I'll add another table for payments, and I'll add another one for sessions. And Airtable by default gives you a couple of columns and just puts a couple of rows. I'm just going to go ahead and delete the rows, and then we'll figure out what the columns are in a moment by seeing what information we can get through Zapier. And so my goal here really is to teach you how to start calculating the sessions used and sessions remaining and things like that. But before that, and we have to think in the order of operations, what has to happen before we start calculating sessions used and sessions remaining is that a client actually has to purchase sessions with us. So I want to start on the payments part of this. So I have a Zap set up here. I've started it with Stripe. And now the next step is I need to get that information into Airtable. So if I click Airtable here, what I want to do is I want to create a record, right? I want to record this payment in my Airtable base. So we'll do that. And then the base would be client database. Let's see if we can find it here. So that would be this one. Okay. And then the table is payments. And so now that we're on the payments table, it will pull in some of the information that is there, which I can see right here. Now, these probably aren't necessary, right? We probably don't need assignee. We probably, maybe don't even need status. Let's figure out what we might need. So a payment comes in and we will need to know the amount, most likely. So that's a currency field. And we'll just leave it at that for now. And we probably want to know the date of the transaction. So we'll choose a date field. And we probably want to know the client or I'll just put customer, whatever you want to name it here. But what we want to do is instead of just typing things into that field or have the Zap type things into that field, we want to make this a linked record so that we can actually link it back to our contacts. And what that enables us to do is, I'll just skip this here, that enables us to go to a contact and see or add all of the payments from that contact. So if I expand this contact and they have a bunch of payments, all of their payments will be listed here, right? Because they're linked together. So what else might I want to do? The name, let's just actually call this, instead of name, we'll just call it something like transaction ID, because typically the first column in a table is your primary key, and it needs to be, best practice is it needs to be unique, right? So no other row should have that, that kind of identifier. And I know if we use transaction ID, those by default are unique. And so we should be able to record that here. And so if I go here and I refresh these fields, I can now see those that I have added. And when I click this plus sign, this allows me to choose what data from the step before or any steps before I want to use to dynamically fill in this field. So let's just see if we can get some kind of ID. Let's see. All right, ID. See this long string of numbers and letters? That's the transaction's unique ID. And then we can go down here to amount. That's $500. We can go to the date. And so we'll put that here. It's August 22nd. And then we'll choose the customer and I will put my email. Now, if I click continue and test, what this is going to do is it's going to send a record to Airtable and we'll make sure that this is working correctly. So if we go over here, we can see my transaction came in for $500, $822, and that's the associated customer, right? So if I go back to my contacts and I look here, oh, there's a payment. I can click into the payment. I can see the details. And then again, if I expand the customer, I can see that they had a payment here. Amazing. But now what we really needed to do was calculate how many sessions that got that person. And this doesn't have to be complicated. So what you can do here is sessions purchased. And it's very likely, we'll make this a number field. It's very likely that when you are selling a coaching package, it's coming with the same number of sessions. So what we're going to do here is actually go back to this Zap, go back to configuring. I'm going to refresh the fields, and then it's going to ask me how many sessions did this person purchase. Well, Stripe's not going to know that, right? Because anybody could come up with any number of sessions. And so what we can do for this one is we can just type a number in. So I'm going to put 12. That's, one 1 hour session once a week for 3 months. We got 12 sessions. And if I continue and I retest the step, it's now going to create another record in my Airtable base with 12 sessions. And let's just pretend that we did this one before and they purchased another 12 sessions 3 months before. Let's see, July, June, May, 22nd. Okay, so they purchased in May, they purchased in August. So what I need to know now is how many total sessions this person has purchased. And I can't see that here. And I can look here and I can count it manually, but I want to see a field with all of those sessions added up. And so what I can do is I can make a new column called total sessions purchased. Oops. And then what I want to do is I want to roll up. Now notice I'm on the client, the contacts table, and I'm rolling up. I'm getting a bunch of information from the payments table. And I can do that because of this linked record field that I created. And so what I want to roll up is actually the sessions purchased. And it automatically knows, that I want to sum it. This is the most common formatting. So I want to sum up the total number of all of the sessions purchased by this person. So if I create the field, I will see that my total sessions purchased is 24, which is exactly what we want, right? And we might not need to see this. So sometimes what I like to do is just hide that field. It's still there. You can get to it here, but I like it to look a little bit cleaner. So now we actually have our total sessions purchased. And if you go back to the Zap and you click publish and turn it on, anytime a new client is paying you, it's automatically going to record that payment for 12 sessions, and Airtable is automatically going to roll up the total number of sessions that they purchased. So the next thing that we need to do is we actually need to start adding our sessions to Airtable so we know how many sessions have been used. And so if we go here to this other table, again, we probably don't need all of these fields, right? So we'll just delete them. And let's see, what do we need to know about this session? We probably need to know the date and time, which we can do here. We can include the time, perfect. And we probably want to know, I don't know, let's do the Zoom URL. I think we can grab that. We'll see if it's coming across if we've configured Zoom. And of course, I want to know what client this session is associated with. So I'll just put client there and I will link to another record to my contacts table. Perfect. Skip. And I'll just name this one session ID. And we'll leave that there for now and see if we need to add anything later. We can always add things later. We can always refresh fields. So a lot of this is just putting what we think and then seeing what comes across in the automation and then making little tweaks until we have exactly what we want. But it's really important here that for every session, we have the ability to link it to the client, okay? So if we go here, let me just close this other one. If we go here, I use cal.com like I mentioned. So I already checked to see that a booking was created. And now I need to go to Airtable and I will need to create a record. Now, some of y'all, I want to stop here. Some of y'all will have multiple event links in your scheduling app, and you might not want all of them to come through to Airtable. And so I'm just going to add a step in between here, which is called a filter. And filters are great. They do make your Zap a multi-step Zap, but filters are great because they allow you to only move through if certain conditions are met, and Zapier doesn't charge you for using them. So in this case, we're just going to pretend that, my event type title, it's the title of my event, contains, and for this one, I just set up a test event called secret meeting. And so if I continue, and yep, okay, because I already tested step 1, it did match my filter conditions. And now I can make sure that the correct events are going to Airtable. So then I can go ahead and choose my base. So we'll look up the client database again. I know that's the one. And we'll go to the sessions table. And then it's going to ask me for a bunch of information. So let me start with the ones that I for sure know I'm going to have, which is the day and time. And do I have a Zoom URL here? I'm not sure. Let's see. I might not. So we could probably skip that one. I might not have set up a Zoom URL for this meeting, but if I had, or you're using Calendly, usually the Zoom URL comes across. And then for the client, what I need is the email address. And the reason why I always choose email address for client is because if I go back here, I need to associate them with the primary key of my contacts table. And I chose that to be email address because remember, we need a unique identifier. And so I need this client. In order to link it to this table, I can only choose from the primary column. And so let me just go back here and actually just remove this Zoom URL for now. We'll go back, create the record. I can even refresh the fields to see my Zoom one go away. Oh, and I need to map in my session ID. Let's see if there's an ID here. If there's not, that's okay. I will show you something kind of neat. All right, I'm not sure I'm seeing an ID. So this is what we're going to do instead. Let's go here. And instead, I'm going to type in, let's see, event, or no, actually, I'll do session title, or just title. Let's do that. We already know we're in the sessions table, and we'll just leave it a regular piece of text there. And what I can do is instead of session ID, we'll just call this session, and I can use a formula. Again, you can name these things whatever you'd like. And I can use a concatenate formula, which just takes things and puts them together, two different fields or two or more different pieces of information and put them together. So I want to take the title, and Airtable knows I have title in there. And I'll do a, let's see, a space and a dash. And then I also want to add in the date and the time. So let's see. There should be nothing now because I don't have anything in there. All right, but let's test it and see what that's like. So I'm not going to leave anything for this field. If I refresh it, you'll see it'll rename. But I am going to put this title in, which for me, it was secret meeting. So let's do continue. And then let's test the step. Okay, and let's see what Zapier did. All right. Okay, secret meeting, and this is the date. You can change date formatting here and things like that. I just want to show you that you can really make this what you want it to be so that it is still unique, because there's no way somebody could book the exact same kind of meeting at the exact date at the exact time, right? So now we have this, and if we go back to contacts, I can unhide this field and I can see, okay, there's my secret meeting, right? That got associated with my contact. If I open up the contact, I can see I have 2 payments and 1 session associated with this person. So this is also a really great way to consolidate information, especially when you're dealing with not just updating the name of a contact, right? Or a phone number of a contact, but you have multiple payments, you have multiple sessions, right? And so now what I want to do is I want to add another column here because we know how many they purchased, and we did that by rolling up the information from the associated payments for this person. But now what we need to do is we need to have a column for total sessions used, and that's going to be us counting. We're going to count how many sessions are associated with this person. And so if I create the field, I can see, okay, the total sessions used is 1. So if I created a fake one, that was, I don't know, Gary@email.com. Okay, and I went to sessions, and let's just play around here. And I associated this one with Gary. You can see when I go back to contacts, it knows it's only going to count the associated sessions. Gary had used one, I had used one. And so now we have the total sessions purchased and the total sessions used. So what you could do at this point would be to go ahead and publish your Zap. And the next step is just to create a very simple formula in Airtable, because what we want to do is calculate the sessions remaining. So we'll do sessions remaining, and we'll go ahead, and for this one, we want to use a formula, very simple formula, okay? Basic subtraction. So we want to take the total sessions purchased minus the total sessions used, and we'll create, and we can see 24 minus 1 is 23. This person has 23 sessions remaining. And of course, Gary has -1 because Gary didn't purchase any, right? So this is a very simple way and a very properly structured way for you to be tracking your contact or your client information, your payments and associating them with the client, your sessions and associating them with the client, and being able to know at any given time how many they purchased, how many they used, how many are remaining. And all of this, once those 2 Zaps are set up, all of this happens automatically. All right. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments, or if you're trying to do something unique with this, or you have some kind of edge case. I would be happy to make another follow-up and expand on this use case. All right, I'll catch you next time.